Hello, and thank you everyone for joining us today for another presentation in our fall webinar series, Beauty from the Inside Out, Nutrient, Anti-Aging, and Natural Beauty Strategies, presented by Antonina Bureacenco. Sorry. Before we get started, I would like to go over a few housekeeping items. There will be a complimentary Benadryl sample awarded to those of you attending this session live. If you would like to receive your free sample, please provide us with your clinic and store phone number, account number, and mailing address using the link provided in the chat box. The chat box can be found on the right-hand side of your screen in the control panel. Please be aware that only one sample will be sent per account, and they will be sent as part of your next order. There will also be a Q&A session at the end of the presentation, time permitting. If you would like to ask questions, you can do so throughout the presentation by typing it into the question box in the control panel at the right side of your screen. Please note this presentation will be recorded for future distribution. We're now ready to begin, so without further ado, I will turn it over to Antonina. Welcome, Antonina, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Cassie. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you everyone for joining. I'm excited to speak on a subject that became kind of dear to me in the last couple of years, and I was really happy to research and put it together for our audience today. As Cassie mentioned, my name is Antonina. I am a certified nutritional practitioner. I'm the medical advisor working with AOR in Vancouver and in Okanagan area. I love working with medical professionals as well as present and teach at the Institute of Nutrition and teach to public. I teach on multiple subjects, and this is the very first time me presenting on the, on the subject of preventative approach to anti-aging. So I'm really excited about it. I understand and I see it myself. I observe how many people are interested, especially women in particular, interested in slowing down the aging and understanding and finding ways in kind of managing their looks to the best of their ability. And there are many ways to go about it. So today in this seminar, we are going to discuss the best ways to approach it from the preventative approach and from nutritional perspective. So I look forward to discussing this with you and sharing what I found. In our seminar today, we will talk about the anti-aging lifestyle, what are the culprits and the root causes of premature aging, what are the kind of anti-aging practices that you can do daily from the preventative perspective when it comes to diet and lifestyle overall. We'll talk about things like hydration and what's important for skin and skin health, as well as how hormones and different organs affecting it. And then, of course, we'll focus on a lot of solutions. We'll take a look at the things that you can be doing from a lifestyle, nutritional, like dietary perspective, as well as therapeutic perspective. So I will talk a lot about supplemental, interventions and elements that you can be using every day. By definition, the anti-aging is something that is defined in simple terms as the process of stopping or slowing down the aging process. And this is something that we're really going to be focusing on. We need to understand that aging is a natural process, something that we need to embrace, something that we need to look into from a perspective of I guess with more peace than sometimes some of us are. I know personally, I have been kind of stressing out about it. In the last couple of years, I went through a very stressful situation in my life, and I felt that that significantly impacted the way my skin looked and the way my appearances, changed, and that caused enormous amount of stress. And the difficult thing about it, the more we stress out about it, the more we worry about it, the more issues we're going to see. And so anti-aging process is a process in which we engage on a daily basis, and the process that we can understand and do our best at addressing. And from the medical perspective, from the preventative health perspective, there are many things that could be done, and there are many preventative treatments and lifestyle choices that can be used. So let's discuss some of them from therapeutic background. So some of the root causes are the stress, toxicity, and compounding deficiencies. I would say it's not only anti-aging, I guess it's any kind of disease models or any kind of problems that our society experiencing today when it comes to aging or any kind of degenerative diseases, they all stem from abnormal amount of stress or inability to manage stress properly, toxicities, and this is very common in today's world. We live in the world that has a very, often very polluted, environment, whether it's pollution in the air, pollution in the water, pollution in our food. So toxicity is very common and it's hard for us to avoid. I think all of us are exposed to it. We also look at compounding deficiencies. So as the more pollution that we have around us, the more that we're exposed to it, the more deficiencies that we'll see in our physiology, in our body, because as we have toxins coming in, their body requires a lot of nutrients and antioxidants, a lot of minerals to detoxify ourselves, to detoxify our cells and organs that are responsible for the detoxification process to move things along. So it is very common to have toxicities, and it is very common to have compounding deficiencies associated with that. So when it comes to anti-aging practices, a lot of people will, a lot of women and men will resort to doing common practices of using Botox, fillers, invasive surgeries, and various synthetic skin, skin modulating practices, which are okay and can be used in some instances and cases. And this is not to take away from it, but what we're going to focus on is that while those practices can be utilized, there are many things that you can do to support your body as you use them, as well as maybe use instead of. So instead of resorting to some of the potentially invasive or long-term, practices that could be questionable in its long-term effects, maybe you can take a look at some of the things that we'll discuss today from the preventative perspective or supporting perspective in allowing your body to, while you're going through this different against treatments, to support your body in dealing with them in a sense, or detoxing from potential side effects. So the reason for that is that because the body, very often, we are a biochemical machine, and everything we put in our body and on our body is a biochemical reaction. So we have to understand that synthetic biochemistry is unnatural for our body. So we need to look into, or I think for a majority of what we do, we should look into natural organic chemistry in supporting our body. So our body constantly regenerates itself. Our body is constantly, detoxifying itself. So we need to provide elements that are building blocks in the body's ability to do that. So if we aren't using anything synthetic, we need to support the body in managing that. So some of the natural options that you can look into in adding value to what you're already doing is using nutrient-dense foods, using natural organic skincare, using therapeutic supplementation, which I will discuss in more detail, going for different facial massages. There are different kind of like facial acrobatics or exercises that can be done to tone up the muscles and the face. There are natural spas or places and clinics that focus on a lot of natural treatments they don't have or not known to have any side effects, like radio frequencies, microdermabrasion, and LED photodynamic facial therapies of different kinds or PRP. So some of those are definitely maybe some of the things that I would love to try myself, and I will resort to trying before going to some synthetic alternatives, but maybe use them in combination if that suits you best. So let's go into just the very basic. Let's cover some of the things that you should be doing on a daily basis, regardless of what your choices are. What are the basic principles of anti-aging lifestyle that are essentially very, very important for body physiology. And we always have to start with food. Food should be our medicine. So anti-inflammatory food and diet are very, very important. So definitely eating as organic and as clean as possible. 100 years ago, all food was organic. And it is really quite sad that today we have to label clean food organic, and we do not label food that has a lot of synthetic chemicals on it, that have a lot of unknown side effects, and many of them known to be carcinogenic. We don't have to put any labels on that food. So understanding that eating as clean as possible is definitely should be the foundation of what you're doing every day. Eating as local and as fresh as possible as well. So that is important because we definitely want to support our local economy, but we also want the food that is the freshest, that has the most amount of nutrients, that are not oxidized, that are not in any way denatured in the process of transportation, radiation through the border, and maybe some extra additional spraying. So going to shop at your local farmer's market, at the local natural store that provides the highest quality elements and foods that are not subjected to different treatments. That means eating a lot of, or making sure that a part of your diet consists of a raw, enzyme-rich, nutrient-dense foods. Also looking into geographic considerations. So, I love raw food, and if I lived in a very warm environment, and places like Hawaii or California or somewhere in Florida, and I was in the environment where it was predominantly very warm and luscious and beautiful, and had a lot of fruits and vegetables and sunshine. As we know, in the summertime, even here in Canada, we are drawn to eat more fresh, raw food. We are drawn to eat things that are very hydrating. And it's not as easy for us, and we're not naturally inclined to eat a lot of cooked food or heavy foods or warming or kind of foods that are very grounding. So it's natural for us to eat foods that are raw and very hydrating in the summertime. And in the wintertime, we're drawn to eat things that are cooked and a little bit heavier and a little bit more satiating. So that is our body's kind of giving us an indication of what's more natural or what the body is asking for. So geographic considerations kind of, refer to that. So in traditional Chinese medicine, it is always said that we need to be eating based on our environment. So it is normal now in the winter time, as we are in the fall, going into the winter, to look into and consume foods that are very comforting. So you will be more drawn to eating, root vegetables. You'll be more drawn to eating stews and other cooked foods, but do include some raw foods as well. Least processed and more nutrient dense, of course, so definitely shopping in the periphery of your store, finding foods that don't have a lot of packaging, that haven't been processed, cooking as much as possible at home, cooking properly without overcooking our food, without frying our food or maybe microwaving it. So also relying on like rainbow principle, and that is getting your phytonutrient spectrum. Phytonutrients are very big anti-aging elements. They are very anti-inflammatory and antioxidants. So getting a full spectrum is really fantastic. Eating mostly vegetables, fruits, greens, and nuts. There's a really famous author, Michael Pollan, written probably one of the best-known book that's called In Defense of Food. And his famous quote is eat food, not too much, mostly plants. So try to focus on eating a lot of nutrient-dense plant foods. If you are consuming animal products, look for hormone-free, antibiotic-free, grass-fed, pasture-raised and organic or wild animal products or byproducts, because being on the top of the food chain, we want to eliminate or lower our risk and exposure to a lot of hormones and pesticides and a lot of chemicals that are stored in animal tissue. So definitely find a cleaner source, as clean a source as possible. This is a slide that I just added to show you a quick kind of give you a little expose of what it looks like when we're looking at food, comparing clean food to a food that has been, chemically sprayed. So a lot of us know that, for example, fruits and vegetables, or especially berries, are very antioxidant and very phytonutrient rich. So everybody thinks about, when they see antioxidant, berries on their plate, whether they go to the restaurant or a cafe, or whether they make some at home, they always feel good about eating them. They understand that they're consuming a lot of antioxidants. Well, one thing I wanted to add to the previous slide, speaking about organic or clean food, is that what you don't know, just because it's a berry doesn't mean that it's a high quality berry, or doesn't mean it's a high quality antioxidant food. It really depends on where it was grown, what principles were used, and how and how clean it is. So all of that will affect your body physiology. Eating, for example, strawberries that you see on your screen that are conventionally raised with all of those chemicals on them, which are not listed on the label, will not necessarily give you any nutritional value, will not give you the antioxidants you're assuming you're getting, will not give you a lot of phytonutrients that you're assuming that you're getting, and will expose your body to a lot of toxicity and a lot of petroleum-based chemicals that are highly toxic and are going to cause, long-term side effects and accumulation in your body that the body now has to deal with. So you think you consume something antioxidant and nutritionally dense and valuable, feel good about it. However, the body has to deal with all that biochemistry that is not natural for it. Again, it's synthetic chemistry that does not belong in your body. When you're eating a truly clean food, organic, naturally grown food, foods that our ancestors used to eat and that we used to pick from our gardens and consume, you are getting phytonutrient-rich, nutrient-rich, very, very dense food that has a lot of, wonderful antioxidants that we talk about. So quality over quantity, I would always choose organic when possible, and I recommend that you understand that there are standards that are followed, and there are a lot of people that protect those standards. I know that a lot of people are disregarding organic food or eating clean at this moment. I believe that it's a fad. Personally, that's the only way we can ensure that our food has been least tampered with. So eating as clean and as organic as possible would be something I strongly recommend in my practice. So the next very important point is resting properly and a sleep hygiene. I personally have, it's kind of like a slide for myself. I have a lot of energy through the day, and a lot of times I get a second or a third wind in the evening. And that's a big problem for me because I get very productive in the evenings, and so I don't go to bed on time as I should. I know that very well. As I've been building the seminar, I've been telling myself how much I need to practice what I preach. And I always recommend my clients to understand the importance of sleep, but I definitely need to do it myself. This is probably one of the most important anti-aging practices, is getting sufficient sleep. So allowing the body to properly rest with the sun, allowing the body to produce sufficient amount of proper hormones and the precursors to, for example, a melatonin. Melatonin is a very strong antioxidant in the body and very, very important for cellular regeneration. So if we're not producing melatonin, as our liver starts producing it in the evening, as our body starts to get into that phase and preparation for a proper rest, if we bypass the process, if we expose ourselves to a lot of artificial stimulation, we impede or we prohibit our body to produce melatonin, and that strongly affects our body's restful state, as well as all this antioxidant activity in our body that it's supposed to have. So sleeping is a really important way. It is an important time to give our body a really good reparative, regenerative time, because now that I'm in the wakeful state, as I'm talking, walking, blinking, sitting, my body is outwardly and kind of engaged. When we are resting, the body goes inwards and starts repairing, regenerating, and kind of like metabolizing and working with everything to kind of bring us back to the state of proper function for the next day. So it's really important that we don't bypass this process. We give ourselves sufficient. For some people it's 7, some people it's 8 or 9 hours. Whatever it is for you, you need to understand your balance. And understanding the proper sleep and all the studies, there's enormous amount of research out there showing that if you have sufficient amount of sleep, you are less likely to be subjected to multiple conditions like cancer and diabetes. So, and we see people that work night shifts and people that don't have proper sleep, all the studies indicate and how have a much greater risk of all of those conditions, and of course premature aging. So proper sleep strengthens our immune system. It's really important for proper nutrient absorption, assimilation. It's really important for cognitive function during the day, and of course hormone functioning. For proper sleep, it is really important that you make sure that you don't have any EMFs surrounding you while you're sleeping. So create a beautiful environment. Make sure that your blinds are closed. If it's still not a pitch dark in your place, put the eye mask on and use that every day, every night, to make sure that there is less light that you're subjected to. If you are exposed to any electronics before going to bed, please wear blue light blocking glasses. Please wear earplugs if there's a lot of noise pollution if you live in the city. So look at all that environment and make sure that things are, that you're creating a perfect environment for a great, deep sleep. I do use earplugs because I live in the city. I do put eye mask on every night, and I make sure to wear my blue light glasses if I'm exposing to a blue light on the computer, on the cell phone, essentially tricking my body, thinking that it's a daytime, so it's not going into proper restful state. So other things you should consider for proper sleep and maybe could be really helpful is use nutrient supplementation. So for example, AOR, a company that I work with, and I'm presenting the seminar for the fantastic formulas like OrthoSleep, for example, that has all of the precursors and really good elements in helping you to have a restful, deep sleep. Using aromatherapy, essential oils in the room, maybe trying acupressure, acupuncture, the Ayurvedic, principles in proper sleep hygiene, flow tank immersion. So I don't know if any of you have ever tried that. Meditation could be really helpful in setting you up for a perfect deep restful sleep, using Tai Chi, yoga, light therapy. And you know what? Exercising every day will ensure that you have a really good deep sleep. So maybe it seems counterintuitive, but if your body gets a really good exercise routine, it will have a really good, cycle into a deep, restful sleep at night. So don't overlook that as well. Proper hydration. So as you see, the image that I've chosen for this slide is anything that's dehydrated will essentially look old or deteriorate. So, and one thing that people don't understand is hydration is very imperative for anti-aging. When we think of hydration, a lot of people will consume or believe that as long as they're drinking anything liquid, that they will be sufficient. So we are on average told to consume about, 7, 8, 10 glasses of water a day. I would say that it really depends on your body weight and other factors. So I do a lot of hydration seminars, and the formula that we usually use is, let's take a look at your body weight. So think about your body weight in pounds. So for example, I'm 120 pounds. I divide that in half. That makes it 60. So I will use 60 ounces of water for my body weight. That's what I need. So it's about 8 glasses of water, 8-ounce glasses of water for my body weight. If the person is double my size, you can tell that they will probably require more hydration. If we're speaking about winter versus summertime, of course, in the summertime, we perspire more, we may be more active, we need to be hydrated better. If, somebody has a sedate, a very kind of a lazy lifestyle versus an athlete, of course, athlete would require more hydration to put out and to detox from byproducts or because of all that excessive sweating. So it really depends on your lifestyle, your body weight, and a lot of other factors. So hydration is not one size fits all. It is definitely should be more uniquely or looked at individually. And then not all things we consume are hydrating. So for example, look into the things that you're using. Are you using a lot of diuretics? Are you using a lot of coffee, strong caffeinated beverages or sodas, or dairy, things that could be very dehydrating or diuretic and very inflammatory in some cases. So when talking about hydration, we're speaking about clean, high quality water, fresh pressed organic juices, things that are naturally very hydrating for the body and all of their tissues. So high quality water is really important, and it's important for all of the systems, for all of the tissues. And it's one way to detoxify all cells and all organs in the body. So when it comes to skin health, your liver and kidneys are really important at processing a lot of metabolic waste and chemicals that we expose to on a daily basis. So ensuring their function is optimal is really, really important. So you want to have healthy organs, and liver and kidneys are definitely very, very impactful in your overall appearances. Your adrenals produce a lot of your hormones, and hormones are very strongly implicated in the health of your skin and how well you're aging. So looking into the panels and understanding your hormones, identifying any problems that you might be having with some dysfunctions or inability to properly synthesize them is really important. For example, like thyroid is strongly affecting our overall appearances. It is very important in whether it's metabolism of our body, whether it's energy production, or an overall skin health. People that have unhealthy thyroid will definitely show it on their face and in their skin and in their appearances. So properly supporting your thyroid function is really important. Small and large intestine are organs or systems that are very important in skin health and how you visually present yourself. In naturopathic and nutritional medicine, anybody who most often comes to anybody's practice to address skin conditions of different kinds, I think any good practitioner will always look into the health of their digestive system and microbiota. So if we always say, and I would say that if you have unhealthy skin, it very often represents the internal health of your GI lining, of your gut lining, of a small and large intestine, and its ability to properly function, synthesize, and assimilate nutrients to then feed the skin. But it's usually very often your skin is an outer reflection of what's going on inward in your digestion. So don't underestimate the importance of your overall digestion and your aging process and premature aging. Big culprits are very often in skin health, and when we look at digestion, I always ask to look at anti-inflammatory diet. And some of the most inflammatory compounds could be dairy and excess of grains and gluten. There are thousands of different gluten proteins. It is a very big subject, a very controversial subject. But one thing we know that both casein or gluten are highly inflammatory. So if you have a lot of inflammation and your skin is having problems, one of the first things you can try is maybe take that away from your diet for at least a couple of weeks. So take 21 days and remove, maybe excessive grain or glutens from your diet as well as dairy, and see how your skin responds. You might be pleasantly surprised with some of the benefits. Looking at overall skin, so if we understand, we just talked about all the different organs that are involved. Skin is one of the largest organs, detoxifying organs in your body. On top of, so we talked about colon, we talked about, what else do I have here? I don't see my own slides. We definitely kidneys, liver, lungs, and the lymphatic system, of course. So when it comes to restorative and reparative function, all of them have to be properly working. So every single, it's interesting, we live in the time when there is, I think, approximately about 12,500 different disease models that are identified right now. And I find that fascinating, and it works in allopathic medicines, because as soon as you have a label or a disease model, you can then rush into, look at medication and prescribe all these different treatments. from the naturopathic integrative medicine perspective, we need to kind of roll back and understand that all of those 12,500 different disease labels, they all really stem from cellular health. So it doesn't matter whether we're talking about heart cell, brain cell, liver cell, red blood cell. All of those cells require elements and nutrients, and those are pretty straightforward. Every cell in the body requires water, requires oxygen, requires amino acids, phytonutrients, minerals, vitamins. So as we require all those nutrients, this is what we really need to be focusing on. And if we provide them, then all of the things start normalizing in its function. So you will see phenomenal benefits in all of these different systems, in the way your colon cell functions, in the way your lung cell function or skin appears, and all of your other organs interact with each other. Once we have healthy cells, they make up for healthy tissues make up for healthy organs make up for healthy systems, and healthy systems make up a healthy overall body. So definitely pay more attention to cellular health rather than all of those different labels or conditions. And as those cells function better, there are three main flows in the body that are essentially connect them all. So we're looking at, blood. Very often I look, or in my seminars, I always refer to blood as the kitchen of our body. So essentially the blood is delivering nutrients to all of the cells. So cardiovascular system, once we digested food, once we assimilated food, our blood rushes in to, provide or carry those nutrients into our cells. So the blood is this carrier or delivery system of this nutrients and elements that the body needs, the building blocks to our cells. So we call the blood as a kitchen. So now that it delivered things to the cells have taken it, metabolized it, working with those nutrients for proper function, and is doing so many of them. Now that they've been processing this and they have this metabolic waste, or they have a waste product, they do not discard those byproducts back into the blood. Those are discarded into the lymphatic system. So now that the cells poured out all that waste into the lymphatic system, our lymphatic system needs to purge it, or needs to move this out. So lymphatic system is considered to be a sewer system of our body. So just like in every house, you have a kitchen and where you make your food and you eat your food, and then you have a sewer system and where you discard and where you dispose of waste. So you want to make sure that it's not only a cardiovascular system that works properly, you want to make sure that your lymphatic system works properly. Your cardiovascular is pumped by the heart. Nothing is pumping your lymphatic system, so it's really important that you exercise to keep the lymphatic system working. So you want to be really hydrated, and you want to be really nutrited, and you want to move to make sure that the sewer system in the body works really well. And if it works really well, you will find that you're healthy at perspiring, you're healthy at moving waste out. You will find that your skin will be very clean, will have a very useful appearance and an ability to properly integrate. And another flow in the body is a neurological flow. So all of the cells communicate, signaling to each other, and they're using nutrients and water and all these other elements to communicate. So you want all of those things to work synergistically. So again, we want to use all of that will work properly if we're using organic living chemistry in supporting body's ability to do it. This is a quick slide I just wanted to refer to, is because a lot of us, so as we're talking about skin and as we're talking about lymphatic systems, talking about all these organs that are constantly detoxifying, so we understand that whatever we put in our body is a biochemical reaction. So what does it do in the body? How does the body integrate it? How does the body work with it? Well, what about things that we're putting on our body? Are we considering the chemicals or pollutants that we could be putting on our body every day without really understanding long-term effects that they could have on us? So a lot of us, and I was one of everybody I know, I was under impression that if things are on the market shelf, especially if they're marketed really nicely and it's an expensive product, I thought that if things are on the shelf, they have been tested and proven to be safe and therefore are okay to be used. Well, I was wrong. quite a lot of years ago, I've learned that there are a lot of things that were never tested and unfortunately are everywhere in our shelves. So just because you see the products in the store shelves does not mean that they are healthy or safe to consume or healthy or safe to be used on our body. So Toxic Substance Control Act is an act that was passed in 1976, about 33 years ago, that has allowed 62,000 chemicals into our industries that are producing products for us. So there's 62,000 chemicals that have never been properly tested individually or in combination. So now you have the 62,000 chemicals that are allowed in our cosmetics and that are allowed in our products that have not really been, they've just been grandfathered and assumed and presumed to be safe. And unfortunately, they're not. They have never really gone through rigorous studies or long-term studies that would prove that to be true. So I strongly recommend that you understand the quality of the products that you're using. What are you putting under your, on your skin every time after you took a shower in the morning? What are you putting in your underarms? What are you putting on your skin overall? What are you shampooing your hair with? What are you brushing your teeth with? And start investing into products and companies that really care and do a really good job at high quality ingredients. So a lot of chemicals could be avoided, and a lot of that toxicity that's cumulative and can cause premature aging can be avoided if you look into proper quality products. And another thing to consider, I know we all like perfumes and everything that smells good, but take a look at the ingredients and understand that a lot of fragrances are actually synthetic chemicals that are just go under the name of fragrance and listed under that one little label on the, but there could be thousands of chemicals that are not actually, biocompatible or safe for your body. So for example, the school that I'm teaching at, in the Institute of Holistic Nutrition, we have a rule of no fragrances used on premises of the school. Again, it's a preventative health approach, and it's just out of respect to everybody in the environment to prevent extra unnecessary exposure to toxicity and chemicals. There are safe alternatives. There are really great essential oils and different essences that can be used that are much safer for day-to-day application. So now let's move to the very important subject of prevention and solution-oriented approach to maybe using a therapeutic amount of elements for day-to-day in the form of supplementation. So supplementation is really important. I say that not because I work at the and engage with a supplement company. I absolutely love and have always been a believer in a supplementation for multiple reasons. And the reason I work with AOR is because I'm absolutely in love with the quality and research and therapeutic application and therapeutic amounts of elements that they use in their really well-designed formulas. So why do we want to supplement? Many people are saying, I can get everything I need from my food. And it probably was true some years ago. It was probably true in maybe about 50 or 100 years ago, before our farming practices have changed so much. So we live in the time and the environment where we have a lot more metabolic demand, and as a result to all of the pollution that we're exposed to. So our ancestors have never been exposed to as much pollution as we do today. So what does that mean? The more pollution we're exposed to, the more we deplete it of very, very important phytonutrients, antioxidants, minerals that the body needs for day-to-day function. As we expose to pollution, those elements are going to be used to detoxify you rather than be used for something else. So the more pollution, the more we deplete it. So we definitely need more nutrition in this kind of environment. When it comes to greater physical, mental, and emotional state, emotional stress. We live in a lot more stressful, I would say, environment today that our ancestors used to exist in. We're exposed to enormous amount of information that we have to process every day. Some of us, whether it's driving in traffic for hours, whether it's, having to multitask and do multiple jobs, or managing family and finances and many other affairs, we always have a lot of issues or things to address in comparison to what our ancestors used to be able to do in one day. We have a lot more to deal with on day-to-day basis. We also have a much less nutrient-dense food today that our ancestors used to have as well. So there are many studies that show that our food was a lot more nutrient-dense in the past. And I think if we were to observe and take a look at our practices, at our agricultural practices, we'll understand why. We use a lot of synthetic chemistry instead of organic chemistry to fertilize our soil. We've been depleting our soils and taking away a lot more than we've been giving back. So a lot of our soils are very depleted. And I'll show you a quick study after. There's a very, very famous study at showing how historical changes in mineral content have really impacted our food supply. We also see a lot of compromised digestion today. So somebody who works in an integrative medicine, somebody who looks at orthomolecular kind of naturopathic nutritional approach to lifestyle, we see a lot of deficiencies in this field because a lot of people are actually having very insufficient or in compromised digestive function. So a lot of people have multiple allergies, leaky gut or digestive system that doesn't have proper microbiome. That's really important at synthesis and assimilation of nutrition. And of course, we have a lot of pollution in our food supply, so that denatures and causes a lot of damage to our gastrointestinal lining, that depletes is very negatively impacting our ability to assimilate nutrition. So we see a lot of people from very young age that have a lot of assimilation and synthesis of nutrient problem, and therefore deficiencies overall. So, and of course, we want to use supplementation as a prevention. So if used in the proper amount and the proper dose, it can be very, very effective as preventative strategy. Here's a slide I wanted to show you on historical changes in mineral content. This is a very famous study that has been done in Britain that showed that a lot of minerals have been significantly reduced, and the data points out in how that has impacted us even in the 80s. So now 20, 30 years later, we can foresee, and there's lots of really incredible books written on it, we can foresee even more complex problems associated with nutrient density. There's been a really good book published by kind of a father of nutrition, Bernard Jensen and Mark Anderson, that was called An Empty Harvest. And I strongly recommend for anybody who's interested to study this particular subject of nutritional deficiencies and depletion in our environment, in our food supply, that would probably be an incredible book for you to look into. So, as solution-oriented therapeutic supplementation strategies, let's take a look at some of my kind of top nutrient elements or formulas. There are really many, but I've looked at a few just to kind of provide you some of the really good tools that you can start utilizing in day-to-day. So Benagine, you may have not heard about it yet, but it's a really, really fantastic nutrient or formula. It's a great organic compound, and AOR is actually won the consumer award and is the only company that has the ability to carry this product in Canada. So I'm really glad that they were able to bring it and make it available to Canadians. But it's a fantastic product and probably will be a #1 choice if you want to address anti-aging using supplementation in addition to everything else you're doing. So it stimulates over 350 anti-aging genes, and it shows to increase, on all the studies that have been done on animals, shows to increase their lifespan dramatically. So That's definitely a really good indicator. It also balances blood glucose level, and that's a really great thing for anybody. So blood glucose level balancing is really good for anybody who might have, concern of pre-diabetes, metabolic syndrome, or diabetes itself, but it's actually a problem for anybody in our society. We are subjected to a lot of processed carbohydrates and foods that are very easily converting to sugar. They can cause a lot of denaturing and problems with our, like for example, advanced glycation proteins, glycation end products, and those are the elements that can cause a lot of damage to a protein structure and therefore contribute to premature aging. So Benadryl is really fantastic at addressing that. It's a really great intermediary in the Krebs cycle, which is the energy production cycle in all of your cells. And it's really good at mimicking all these genetic expressions, essentially modulating and balancing them. So it's a really incredible element at helping the body to, again, properly function from the genetic perspective. We at least know of 350 genetic expressions from epigenetic perspective that it's positively impacting, but there's probably more. And all the trials have really good indications or show really good results in, again, glucose management and its ability to improve an uptake of glucose into the tissues. So down-regulating pathways in body storing extra fat when we don't want it. So it's really good for protecting and supporting and repairing your DNA, and I think that's really amazing. So strongly recommend for you to try Benadryl. I started it a couple of weeks ago. I'm really happy that I guess the more I read about it, the more I'm fascinated by all that I can do. So take a look into it and discover it for yourself. Another really good formula, so antioxidants are really important. So we know that antioxidants are very anti-aging. We understand today that a lot of lifestyle choices or just being alive causes a lot of oxidative stress. And oxidative stress causes inflammation. Inflammation is the underlying cause for, especially when it's not properly managed. There's some healthy amount of inflammation, but when it's not properly managed, inflammation could be, especially chronic inflammation, can be a big problem and the precursor to a lot of issues. So we want to manage inflammation by different lifestyle choices that are very good at managing it, but we also can be very effective at managing and using supplementation. So we know antioxidants are really good at reducing inflammation and reducing oxidation. So one of my favorite formulas in providing the body with a lot of really great antioxidants all at once is actually using antioxidant synergy. Incredible product that's been created by AOR a while back and is very well used and understood now, and I hope that you will give it a try. It has a really fantastic way at a synergy. It has a really great synergy of networking antioxidants that help the antioxidants recycle each other. So we want multiple antioxidants to work in our tissues and different pathways in reducing oxidative stress. But what we also want to make sure is those antioxidants go a really long way. The antioxidants, once they donate electrons to, to our tissues, to any kind of oxidative processes that are happening in the body, those antioxidants can become oxidants as they're reduced. So what could happen, what the best thing that we can do is create a really beautiful synergy of networking antioxidants. They can support each other and donate to each other, so the antioxidants can recycle and become more effective at continuous process of anti-inflammatory, anti-aging, antioxidant function in the body. So antioxidants in a good synergy together, like we see in this formula, like alpha lipoic acid, like vitamin E, like vitamin C and coenzyme Q10, and all of the precursors to create a really fantastic antioxidant like glutathione, in synergy together, they're really good at supporting each other's ability at working effectively for a longer period of time in your body. So taking a formula can just make it easier on your body and can ensure that all of those individual antioxidants work better for a more sustainable time and recycle each other. There are other antioxidants, of course, that you can take a look at. So if you did want to use the formula of all those antioxidants together, you can look at them individually, and individually they have incredible value, and they can be used in different application. So whether you're using a formula with all of them together, or whether you're using them individually or in other formulas, would really depend on potentially on some of the personal needs. So you can look at alpha lipoic acid as an antioxidant formula if you want to address liver toxicity or support for liver function. If you want to look at neurological degeneration, if you want to look at diabetes and all the other conditions associated with diabetes, it's really good at blood sugar management as well. So alpha lipoic acid is really, really amazing at addressing all of them, and could be used as an addition to if you wanted some extra. Then you can use CoQ10 as an extra antioxidant. That would be good for anybody who's on statin medication, or anybody who wants to support cardiovascular and heart health overall, and support brain function. When it comes to selenium, a next product over, if you want to support a thyroid function, so you may potentially have thyroid imbalances and you want to support production of the hormones associated or involved in all of the different hormones the thyroid is working on, selenium is a really good nutrient as a precursor, an element that the body uses for that. Also, if you're dealing with recurrent infections and you want to use a really good antiviral or an element that's really strong at supporting your immune system, you can use extra, selenium. The Total E is a really, really amazing formula, and I love that AOR uses that formula in its full spectrum. So there are 4 tocotrienols and tocopherols, 4 of each, that are really important to be used all together in a good balance and a good synergy to each other, because there are a lot of products out there in the market that may sound good on the surface, but they will have maybe one or all very few of those spectrum of the vitamin E, and therefore might not be as effective or as as bioavailable or as powerful as an antioxidant as when you use a proper balance, most natural balance and therapeutic amount in a proper formula like Total E. So I just love how clean and effective it is, and how therapeutic this formula is in that specifically. So it's really good, and the other thing in this formula, it also has a therapeutic amount of CoQ10 in there. So again, very synergistic antioxidants together. Moving on to resveratrol, something that you can find in high quality wine, but we're looking at therapeutic value of resveratrol, and resveratrol is probably one of the most studied elements when it comes to anti-aging and its ability to, slow down the aging process, at least what we see in a lot of science. There's a lot of science indicating that resveratrol is increasing lifespan in animal studies, and has really beneficial effects, very beneficial effects as an antioxidant and anti-aging nutrient. So the most studied anti-aging nutrient formula. So take a look at that as well. Another fantastic formula is carnosine. Carnosine 500 is what AOR is offering as a powerful antioxidant that promotes cellular function. It promotes an useful cellular function. It's cellular essentially detoxification and ability to properly discard of all the inappropriate or byproducts. It's also really good at improving the lifespan of the cell. It supports, in addition, the muscle function and recovery from stress, and supports the healthy aging. So it is the amino acid element. It's a dipeptide, and it's found in human tissues, and very strong anti-aging nutrient that inhibits glycation. So we talked a little bit about glycation before. It's something that we want to effectively reduce in our body. That's what creates stiffness, unhealthy protein structure, inflammation. So we want to downregulate that, and carnosine is really strong at doing that. It's getting rid of, also damaged proteins, and it's really good at regulating intracellular and extracellular pH, and regulating that acidity alkalinity balance in your cells. So it's been studied for brain health, recovery of strokes. It's very good for cataract treatment, and recovery as an anti-aging element, immune stimulant, and for performance. So for any of you who want to look into anti-aging and find the nutrients that are most beneficial in helping the body be most effective at, from a preventative perspective, carnosine could be something that you'd really enjoy. So look into this formula as well. The next formula that I've chosen to discuss today is lysine, vitamin C, and hyaluronic acid. It's very powerful and in its synergy when we're talking about healthy hair, healthy skin, healthy joints. It's very important for production of your of collagen production. It's very important for proper hydration balance in the body, in the tissues, in the connective tissues, and our cartilage. And all of these nutrients are really important for, again, regeneration of the tissues and our collagen production, which we all want for healthy appearance, healthy glowing skin. So the formula is really good and specifically for that. So if you have anybody whether it's yourself or anybody in your family who wants to support healthy joints and healthy skin and nails and hair, this will be a good combination. It's especially from lubrication, it holds a lot of, it's really good at holding a lot of water, encapsulating a lot of water in the cells where we want it. And you may have seen a lot of formulas out there. If you were to go to nutritional stores, stores that sell healthy, natural, beautifying products and cosmetics, even for external use, you will see a lot of hyaluronic acid and kind of vitamin C formulas that can be put on your face externally. So I personally started using it this year, and I really enjoyed the benefits. I love the application and just definitely how it makes the skin feels and how hydrating it is for the skin. So something that is a very, very healthy for external use, but I love supplementing it as well because you want to, again, bring it from the inside out, hydrate and nutrate the skin from within so that it has a glowing appearance, and then you can add the external treatment as well. To produce collagen, vitamin C formulas are overall really good. So whether you want to use vitamin C on its own, so I'm just showing you a few examples here. Vitamin C is going to be important for anything you do in life. We are one of very few species on the planet who are no longer able to properly produce vitamin C. So we have to get it from our diet. And we lost the ability to synthesize vitamin D from glucose, and it's just kind of enzymatic ability to do that. So we need to get it from our food in our environment, but unfortunately, again, our food is very depleted. So most of us, I would say all of us, are very deficient in vitamin C because stress reduces it, processing our food completely denatures it. So consuming vitamin C on day-to-day basis is important for every single cell function. Very important as a preventative medicine, a very anti-cancer nutrient, and of course, beautifying element. It's great for every cell in your body, for your bone, for your cartilage, for your collagen, for your skin. So take it in the formula that I discussed before or on its own. And you can use regular vitamin C or vitamin C and bioflavonoids, really good antioxidants that also help vitamin C recycle better. MSM, I've added methylcephalamine methane or MSM, or also referred to as organic sulfur, is another good element that's very synergistic with vitamin C in its ability to integrate and synthesize and use vitamin C in the body. It is one of the largest nutrients for our body. Again, really good for joints, support for skin health, for hair health, really good for digestive system repair, detoxification of our cells, pH balancing, GI health. So really strong and very powerful element. Ortho-C is formerly known as TLC that AOR has been using for a while, a very famous formula, fantastic for anybody who uses, who wants to have a healthy heart, cardiovascular health, who wants to prevent or manage work with atherosclerosis. It's a very famous formula that has been kind of discussed or implemented or used by Dr. Linus Pauling, and I think Dr. Rath, who established the formula from and Dr. Linus Pauling is the father of orthomolecular medicine, which AOR is really relying on a lot from that perspective of orthomolecular nutrition, using the right molecules at the right time, in the right amount, for the purpose of bodily, recovery, repair, regeneration. So really fantastic formula as an electrolyte and as reparative. And last but not least, I wanted to mention Saffron. It's a product that is making a lot of waves in the market at this moment, because we are seeing a lot more, again, focus on anti-aging, also antioxidants. So it's a very powerful antioxidant. And so you could definitely use saffron as an antioxidant. It's a very beautifying element. It's known for that. It's a great element in the spice, one of the most expensive spices that you can find out there. So quality really matters. And I would definitely use the saffron for many reasons when it comes to anti-aging, but I decided to add it here too because it has a lot of other beneficial, effects. And that is, if you want to be, from an anti-aging perspective, you want to be able to also address stress, anxiety, and environment in your day-to-day life, and a lot of us are subjected to a lot of stress. So I was thinking adding saffron in this case, if any one of you want to manage anxiety, stress, any kind of depression, any factors, and ability to manage day-to-day life, using saffron as an anti-aging antioxidant, as well as a really fantastic neurotransmitting, supportive booster like saffron will be very helpful. So you can use that for kind of addressing and reducing stress, supporting your body in its ability to manage stress better. It's, again, as I've mentioned, they're supporting neurotransmitter function. It modulates your sleep. It modulates your food. It's really good at preventing and helping the body to manage stress day to day. And there is a lot of incredible science on it. And again, it can be used in a whole range of different conditions and as a nutritive support. But you can definitely focus on it and use it as an anti-aging, antioxidant element. So in summary, I wanted to, review quickly what we discussed here today. We want to make sure that we use adequate hydration to ensure that your skin is very hydrated from within and has that healthy, glowing outward appearance of being plump, of being healthy, of being very well hydrated. You want to make sure that you use very anti-inflammatory diet. Of course, we have our good days or bad days. It's good to enjoy life sometimes, but do take some measures in making sure that your fridge or your cupboards are stuffed with foods that are healthy for you, that that are, have antioxidant value, that are, least inflammatory as possible. So very hydrating, very nutrient dense. Establish a very healthy sleep routine. Understand that sleep is probably a #1 tool in managing overall stress and your ability to reduce and relieve stress from our body, regenerate and create a healthier functioning cellular function to reduce premature aging. Exercise regularly, because as I've mentioned, you want to make sure that your cardiovascular system works really good, and when you exercise, it's definitely supported, but you also want to have a very good lymphatic system flow. So skin health is really going to depend on how your lymphatic system works, and the only way you can support, or one of the many ways you can support the lymphatic system, is having a daily routine of any kind of physical activity. Whichever activity works for you, integrate or use that. And lymphatic system can be supported through dry brushing, infrared saunas, superior hydration, a lot of like citric fruits and nutrient dense foods to help the cells to properly perspire or work or function. There are many things that you can be doing, and definitely exercise. At least walking every day will be very supportive of that proper flow. Use good stress management techniques. Try to understand, that stress. I guess you all have examples in your life, and when you maybe get together with, people that you haven't seen for a long time. Let's say that there is, reunions, and you see some, in your high school graduation, university grads, and whenever you show up at those events, you always see people that have had a very stressful, potentially stressful, life. Circumstances. You see people would age differently, and you see people that have gone through a very stressful period of life and how fast it can age them. And it really, and of course, life happens to all of us. Part of life is being stressed and go through all those motions, and it's really important that we have a very mindful approach at how we address stress and try to address this to the best of our ability. Stress is normal, it's always going to happen, but we always need to understand that it's temporarily and do anything we can at managing it so that it doesn't affect our body, in the most negative way. So find different practices that can help you manage it more effectively. Implement therapeutic supplementation. So there's definitely a need for supplementation, in my opinion. Definitely feel free to challenge me if you don't agree. But in today's world, with all the deficiencies and the amount of exposure to stress and the environmental pollution, we need some extra help. So I'm hoping that you're going to utilize some of the really good formulas and choices, and some of my favorites that I've recommended. And last but not least, have more fun in your life. Enjoy more time with friends and family. Life is too short to continuously work, to kind of put ourselves last. Find a way to balance, happier life, and practice gratitude every day. Whether you wake up or go to bed, find a couple of minutes, a couple of hours if you can, and grounding yourself and looking at the positive aspects of what has happened and what you can extract from any difficult situations or lessons that life brings you, and definitely be grateful for what you have. Accept you for who you are. Understand that when we're talking about anti-aging, we really need to look at aging as a natural process. And we need to understand that purely aesthetic anti-aging versus true anti-aging are different things. It's okay to have wrinkles. It's okay to have some signs of aging. You can age beautifully and gracefully, and those lovely, beautiful wrinkles can show that you've lived a meaningful life and that you expressed emotion in your life, that you're just not a walking around mannequin that is trying to desperately prevent them from occurring. I find many wrinkles very beautiful in people, especially when they have those kind, loving wrinkles in some ways. So less greening, more smiling, more happy faces, more gratitude, and best of anti-aging lifestyle techniques and practices to you. And I look forward to hearing from you. If you have any questions now or in the future, feel free to reach out. It was a pleasure to speak on this subject. I apologize for speaking so fast, and I'll leave the floor now for any questions if you have any time.
Awesome. Thank you, Antonina, for that amazing presentation. as we are 10 minutes over now, we will actually collect questions. We have some already that have come in, and if you have any that you haven't put through already, you can send them to marketing@aor.ca. So that's marketing@aor.ca. And we will compile a list of all of those questions with Antonina's answers and send them out in a follow-up email along with the recording. So thank you all for taking the time to join us today, and have a wonderful evening. And thank you again, Antonina, for that awesome presentation and joining us today.
Thank you.